I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer spoke on the Senate floor Wednesday about the leaked draft decision that revealed the highest court in the land might strike down federal abortion rights. The leak has reignited the abortion debate in the U.S., with Republicans celebrating the possible overturning of Roe v. Wade and Democrats slamming it. The Democratic majority is seeking a vote on the Women's Health Protection Act today, which would codify abortion rights into law. Schumer called this vote, quote, the most consequential we will take in decades. Here's more from the Senate Majority Leader.
Madam President, before the day is over, every member of this body will make a choice. Vote to protect the fundamental rights of women across the country, or stand with 5 conservative justices ready to destroy these rights in one felled swoop. For half a century, Roe v. Wade has been the bedrock upon which women have secured the freedom to make their own decisions when it comes to their bodies. Few questions are more personal, more private, and more complicated than those involving a pregnancy. Few decisions should be more out of bounds to the whims and judgments of elected politicians. But that is precisely the doomsday scenario that now faces our country. Today's vote is one of the most consequential we will take in decades, because for the first time in 50 years, a conservative majority, an extreme majority on the Supreme Court is on the brink of declaring that women do not have freedom over their own bodies, one of the longest steps back in the court's entire history, a decision, if enacted, will go down as one of the worst court decisions ever. The name of the decision will live in infamy. This morning, reports came out that the draft decision of last week remains the only one under discussion by the court's conservatives. If the Supreme Court follows through on that decision, it will be the greatest contraction of individual rights in generations. Our children will grow up in a world where they have fewer liberties than those who came before them. The United States, which has always aspired to expand freedoms, will take a shameful step backwards. As I said, this decision will live in infamy. So when we say that today's vote is one of the most important we've taken in decades, when we say it's not an abstract or theoretical exercise, when we say that the consequences would be real and immediate and far-reaching, it is the truth. At least 80 million women live in states that would either instantly or very quickly ban abortions should Roe come to an end. If you're a woman seeking an abortion, a provider administering one, or even a friend giving a ride to a clinic, you could be prosecuted as a criminal and be thrown in jail. This is not an exaggeration. It's already being proposed by many legislatures, and in some cases is already the law on the books. And if, God forbid, you're the victim of rape or incest, in many states, you discover that the laws in place could force you to carry your pregnancy to term against your will. This is a cruel, repressive, dangerous vision for our country, but it is precisely the future that MAGA Republicans are working towards. It is precisely the outcome that extreme Republicans have planned for. For years, Senate Republicans rubber-stamped one extreme judge after another, plucked right out of the Federalist Society list, with the admitted goal to, quote, pick away at Roe v. Wade, as Leader McConnell stated. Without Senate Republicans skewing our courts to the hard right, Roe would not be on the brink of extinction. At the state level, radical MAGA Republicans have pushed or enacted restrictions that ban abortions as early as 6 weeks, ban abortions with no exceptions for rape or incest, criminalize women and doctors, and prevent other states from offering reproductive care. The immensely cruel law in Texas could even punish doctors who prescribe certain drugs to a woman in cases of a miscarriage. And it gets worse. It gets worse. Leader McConnell says that under a Republican Senate, a national ban of abortion is possible. without Roe. Let that sink in, America. A national ban on abortion is the extreme of extremes, and it is now possible in a Republican Senate, according to Leader McConnell. Americans should listen to that. For the hard right, this has never been about states' rights. This has never been about letting Texas choose its own path while California takes another. Those arguments have now been exposed for what they are: hypocrisy. For MAGA Republicans, this has always been about making abortion illegal everywhere, about making the bans in Texas apply equally to New York and California and Minnesota and everywhere in between. And for all the times we heard Republicans oppose expanding health care because, quote, the American people want health care decisions left up to their family and doctors, the same hard-right radicals are now telling American women health care decisions will now be made by politicians and judges, not doctors, not families. MAGA Republicans are telling American women, your body, our choice. These laws are far outside the mainstream of the country. According to a poll released this morning by Politico and Morning Consult, just 28% of voters support overturning Roe v. Wade. Nearly 75% of Americans, including a majority of Republicans, oppose the radical notion of imprisoning women who receive an abortion. Nearly 60% of Americans say they want political candidates to support access to abortion. That's why this issue will be one of the most important issues facing the voters in November. As Americans make their decisions in this year's election, this question will not go away. Americans strongly oppose getting rid of Roe, and they will be paying close attention from now until November to Republicans who are responsible for its demise. So, to my Republican colleagues who have spent the last week trying to talk about anything other than Roe, it's time to go on record. I ask my colleagues to think carefully about their vote and to reckon deeply about the consequences of a world where Roe is a thing of the past. Tens of millions of women are watching what will happen to the rights they've relied on for decades. And all of us will have to answer for this vote for the rest of our time in public office. Before the day is over, every member of this body will make a choice: stand with women to protect their freedoms, or stand with MAGA Republicans and take our country into a dark and repressive future. Now, finally, on a different note, yesterday the House voted on an overwhelmingly bipartisan basis to approve a $40 billion emergency aid package to support the people of Ukraine in their fight against Putin's aggression. This package is large, it's very much needed, and I'm going to work with my colleagues to make sure we can move forward on this package as soon as we can. The President has called on both chambers of Congress to act quickly, so act quickly we must. The House vote was overwhelmingly bipartisan, and it should be no different in this chamber. Time is of the essence because President Biden has made clear that the aid provided by Congress a few months ago is now near its end. As we acted quickly and decisively a few months ago, we must do so again very, very soon, and I will make sure this is a priority for the Senate. We have a moral obligation to stand with our friends in Ukraine. The fight they are in is a struggle between democracy and authoritarianism itself, and we dare not relent or delay swift action to help our friends in need. I yield the floor.